Okay, this is Moshe coming to you from Israel and the Galilee, and today is a rather important broadcast, extremely important, I think. And we're going to talk about Trump in Venezuela and why he's delaying, and does um, Maduro in Venezuela have Russian missiles? If so, which ones? And how much damage can they do? And did he also, Maduro, get weapons from Iran or China? Israel's wars are back. Hamas said they're back at war with Israel, and we killed the number one guy in charge of the Hezbollah military. I believe there's a character over him, like a Khomeini guy, religious and political leader, but under him would be this guy, and we killed him yesterday along with a few other of his cohorts. So um, they're trying to unite with the Lebanese army to go against Israel, and I believe that's what's going to happen. It may not, but it probably will. And then we're going to I was asking the Lord, when is Elijah going to start working openly? He gave me a really good clue. Not a particular date, but you'll see it's pretty good. All right, for timing, and it's encouraging. It's perhaps sooner than we thought, or sooner than a lot of us thought, I think. Okay, so I'm going to go into the live stream and make sure we got it going good. Put a post up and we'll get going. There's a good amount of stuff to cover. Into the live stream and make sure we got it going good. Put a post up and we'll get going. There's a good amount of stuff to cover. All right. Thank you to the moderators. Yeah, YouTube format stinks. I know. I know. Maybe they'll change it. Who knows? Oh, that went. Okay. And all right, everything looks copacetic. All right, I'm going to do some praise, being a Bible believing site, Old and New Testament. There is no God like Jehovah. 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 There is no Messiah like Yeshua. 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 The sound is still on this thing. Another wonderful YouTube experience. Let's get it shut off. Pain in the neck dealing with them. Okay. So what is going on? A long time ago, I'm saying 5, 6 months, Putin threatened Trump, and he said, it could have been 8 or 9 months ago, he said, you're giving weapons to Ukraine, and I'm going to give weapons to other countries that you don't want me to give weapons to. You know, the choices there would be like Iran, Yemen, Venezuela, Cuba. Getting the idea? Okay. And this brings us up to the recent Tomahawk missile blow up, where Trump was threatening to give Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine, which would have enabled him to blow up St. Petersburg and Moscow pretty generously. So I think that Putin, we know Putin sent weapons to Ukraine. To Ukraine. Putin sent weapons to Venezuela. The Pantsir system and the S-300s. They're not highly effective anti-aircraft systems, but they can be somewhat effective. And it creates more, you know, the pilots, even American pilots or Israeli pilots, have to pay attention and be careful. I mean, they can't just ignore them. You know, they can get taken down, not easily, and they won't work on a stealth jet. Like an F-35, an F-22, a B-1, a B-2, they're not going to work on that. But if you're talking a B-52, I think they can tag a B-52 pretty easily. You know, it's not supersonic, it's not stealth, it's a big target, it's easily hit. Okay, so let's continue. So we know that they were given anti-aircraft systems that could be used against planes, drones, missiles, etc. Okay, now some people in Russia said they were giving them the Orishnik and the Caliber missile. The Caliber missile is a cruise missile. It has a decent range. It's a low-flying, 550-mile-an-hour slow missile, and I think the Americans could deal with that rather easily. Now, the Orishnik, no. The range of the Orishnik is 3,400 miles. That means Venezuela can hit New York City, and I think even Boston. Boston would be the outer edge. Now, if they try to fly into America in the south and not just head north, run west and stuff, there's all sorts of targets they could hit. Okay? I don't know if Putin would want to see Maduro hit civilian strongholds like New York City, but New York City is also a icon, okay? But on the other side of the fence, they got one of their own jackasses running New York City as mayor starting January 1st. So do they really want to hit New York City? I don't know. What would the icon of icons be? Washington, D.C. It's easy to hit Washington, D.C. without hitting residential housing. No, there's not that much of it. It's concentrated in areas not where the big government buildings are. If you walk around D.C., you see there's a lot of space and distance between all the different buildings. you know, the Commerce building to this building to that building. They're separated by, you know, they're not 200 or 300 feet away. They're like, you know, 2,000 or 3,000 feet away a lot of times. Okay. Um, Open intelligence source is not clear one way or another if an Orishnik was given, or Orishniks plural was given to um, Maduro in Venezuela. I believe that they were, or at least America thinks they were, because Trump is definitely delaying this war for some reason. 20 warships there, all kinds of F-35s. He's got the Gerald Ford aircraft carrier there. He's got landing ships there. He's got special service, you know, special forces there. I understand he has tier one operators, which are the top of the top. The ones that apply to get into tier one are already in special forces, like their Rangers or their SEALs or Green Berets or something like that. And then they apply and they got an 80, 85% failure rate. So the guys that actually made it through Green Berets, Recon Marines, Delta Force, not Delta, Delta is tier one, regular Navy SEALs, and they try to apply, 85% of them don't make it. When they test these people, they don't encourage them to get into tier one. They don't encourage them and they don't discourage them. They don't mock them. They don't tell them, go ring the bell and go home. We'll give you a nice hot meal and warm clothes right away. And they will. If a guy gets up and rings the bell, they don't go and tell him, you know, you piece of garbage. You know, they say, okay, come, let's get you dried up and get some warm clothes on you. You want to have a doctor look at you. You want to get a meal. You know, that kind of thing. Right? They don't mock them. You know, they mock them when they're in training to see what they're made of. But these guys that pass the Navy SEALs and the Green Berets and all that, you know, they go to tier one and 80, 85% of them, something like that, drop out. They can't make it. They get dropped or they drop out. So tier one are super special forces. They got a bunch of them down there. Okay? These are guys that excel amongst the Navy SEALs and the Green Berets and the Air Force parajumpers and the Rangers and all of them. These are the cream of the cream of the cream of the crop, you know. I understand you could have 100, 150 of those there. These guys have the best equipment you could imagine. So they get a tremendous investment in military equipment, more so than Green Berets and Navy SEALs and you know, Recon Marines. They get a tremendous amount of really expensive equipment. Now they would never use these guys to engage in combat like infantry or something like that. Never. They would never use them to defend a position or to attack a position. You know, they don't use them for that. Um, More, you know, elite work. Now the SEALs have their own tier one. They call it SEALs Team 6, or they say they call it that. So that's the ones that are in Navy SEALs that want to stay in Navy SEAls. The elite from all the regular SEALs guys, they test. Well, the ones that get into SEALs Team 6 are the ones in the other classes that excel in something. They're really, really good at something, and then they evaluate him, and they give him some sort of testing, and then they bring him in and train him more and that kind of thing. So anyway, Trump's got a huge amount of force down there for some time now, and he's not doing anything. So he's not negotiating with Maduro. Maduro's gearing up for war. There's no peace going on. We know that Russia has approximately 120, let's call them military advisors there. It's highly possible that Putin gave Maduro Orishniks and Caliber missiles, which is a cruise missile made by Russia. And Maduro doesn't have the launch codes, you could say, but in more baby talk, he doesn't know how to launch and operate the missiles. He doesn't have the access to it, okay? The Russian soldiers do, and they won't do it unless they're getting ordered from Moscow. And the target package, I'm sure, would need to be approved by Moscow. But let's not get caught speeding and start thinking that Putin would never want to attack Washington, D.C. Putin is mad, really mad. And he may very well want to do that. Now, you have to combine this with the sleeper agents. It is possible that Trump has displayed an adequate amount of fear of war and being double-tongued and saying things and then going back on his word to make his credibility with his own people, more importantly, foreign powers, extremely low, and it is low. Trump in Israel, with his Palestinian state assurances in 5 years, I can tell you right now that he's about as welcome here as, COVID would be, They're not happy with that. So, and then he stabbed Ukraine in the back the other day by telling them you got to give the land to Putin and stop the war. Well, Zelensky doesn't want to do it. And then Trump turns around and tells Zelensky, hey, if you don't do it, no more weapons are going to you, no more aid, and we're not giving weapons or selling weapons to other countries in Europe that are going to in turn give them to you. So you're going to get nothing. Now, that is leaving Zelensky in the lurch, and that is Trump being a jackass. What would drive Trump to be such a jackass would be he has intel that Maduro has Orishnik missiles. So now he doesn't know what to do. So he's thinking if he gives Russia a big bone, lets them keep the land that they already have in Ukraine, right? And end the war, Putin looks like a hero. Zelensky looks like a jerk. And Trump can work with Putin then to reduce sanctions and get Putin to pull those missiles out of Venezuela. Okay? And that's how I would be explaining Trump's actions right now, because he's fearful and doesn't know what to do. Okay? Now, none of us know. Now, the military might know, the Mossad might know, MI6 might know, but in general, people don't know if Iran or China gave any weapons, offensive or defensive, to Maduro in Venezuela. Oh, we really don't know. We just don't know. Now we should talk about the Orishnik missile, rather. Its range is about 3,400 miles, not kilometers, miles. So it has access to New York City. Probably has access to Boston also, if he stays on the East Coast. The missile is got a speed of about 7,600 miles per hour. It's a Mach 10. Okay. Ukraine never knocked down a Orishnik in flight. Never got one down. Okay. We don't have information other than that because Russia really hasn't been using them other than with Ukraine. The Ukrainian military claims that they did take out a Orishnik missile, or maybe more than one, that was on the ground in the launcher. Now, I'm not sure that's been verified. I think it has not been verified. It's just something that the Ukraine military is saying, and these guys might be under the full belief that they got the missile, and they may have, and they may not have. Okay? We don't know. This is an area where nobody's got the goods, nobody knows what the heck really happened. Okay? We don't know. But it's not highly relevant. One of the big problems for Ukraine or America with these Orishnik missiles is they're highly portable. The Orishnik missile works just fine on a mobile platform launcher. Okay? It has no trouble. Which makes it a nightmare because Maduro just keeps them moving. Now, if you're going to attack an Orishnik missile and the launcher, what you might find is there's one platform, or in other words, one truck that has the missile and the launcher, and there might be another truck with it that sets up nearby that has the radar, and the operators sit there. I haven't studied it to that depth. It doesn't matter. When they attack it, if they miss it by 20, 30, 40 feet, they're likely going to disable the missile with the shrapnel and the blast force. Okay? It might even be 50 or 60 feet. It's probably not going to be 200 feet or anything like that. So they got to get reasonably close with the blast. Okay? Now, if you take that Orishnik missile and you move it every 2 or 3 hours by half a mile, well, then the enemy has to reposition all their assets at that location. Then 2 hours later, you move it, instead of a half a mile, you move it 11 miles. And then you move it 2 miles. And then the next time you move it 300 yards. And, you basically drive them crazy. Now, the other things you could do with these things is you can probably have a big structure like an aircraft hangar and put it in there, or any high roof industrial facility that's not being used or has ample space to drive the launcher in. You probably don't need more than, I don't know, 25-foot ceiling, 20-foot something. So they could put it in even an industrial garage for big trucks or something, right? And now, how the heck is America going to find it? They're not. So they're going to lose track of some of these Orishniks. Okay? How many would Russia give them? I don't know. Russia might be working a whole deal with the sleeper agents, with China, with North Korea, with Iran, with Cuba, with Venezuela, and with other people that hate America, which is what, 40, 50 people, different countries, 40, 50 different countries. And they could have their sleeper agents getting ready. And this is the beginning of the attack in Revelation 18, which we'll cover. So this could be it. He can hit DC. The missile is a fast mover. Very hard to do a takedown. America's not Israel. They're not loaded with anti-missile systems. Israel has the Iron Dome, the Arrow 2, the David Sling, and the THAAD system, which is American. We got 4 systems. And when Iran, not Russia, when Iran launched at us in June of the 12-day war, 17% of their missiles were getting through all 4 of our defense systems, plus our friends like Jordan, Saudi Arabia were trying to take them down when the missile passed over their country. And America, I think, was trying to take them down. So there was a lot of efforts, and 17% of the Iranian stuff got in. Now, Iran has since improved their missile system, according to them, which is, of course, concerning to us. Now, we might have improved our system, too. Do we have these iron beams, the laser systems, in operation? Well, I'd say minimally a very small amount, yeah. After what Trump pulled on Ukraine by saying no more missiles, Netanyahu made a public announcement that Israel has to make more and more of its own weapons, so we're not dependent on other people. He got scared. But Israel needs to make their own fighter jets, and America doesn't want that because they'll make a better jet. So Netanyahu will never go against America and do it, but that's what needs to happen. We'd have a better stealth jet than they do. And Israel needs to make their own automobiles, but 23 years with this piece of garbage, Netanyahu, he doesn't want Israel making cars. Why? Because he taxes the cars at 100% to 150%. So every time you go out, when you pay in America for a $30,000 car, doesn't cost us $60,000. No, it costs us $60,000 plus 18% for the VAT. So that's pushing 80,000. You see what a piece of garbage he is? Such a piece of garbage. Living, breathing, despicable abomination of a human being. An absolute perversion of what a human being should be, physiologically and this way. And that's what he is. And I refer to him as a curse on Israel, because that's how I see him, as a curse. So, yeah, we're not making our own cars. You think Israel couldn't make a good electric vehicle? Of course they could. All right. 7,616 miles per hour is the top speed for this thing. I don't think that America has much defense against it. Okay? I think the penetration level would be 100% or 95% or something like that. I think it would be a lucky shot for America to get in on it. Okay, to knock one down. I don't think they could. Now, this thing is even worse. This is why you can't knock it down easily or at all. It has multiple warhead system. So when the thing approaches the target, the missile breaks up. It blows itself up into pieces or detaches into pieces, and then you have 6, like maybe you'd say mother warheads, right? And they can go in different directions at great speed. And each of these mother warheads breaks up into, I believe, another 6 warheads. So you're talking 36 warheads. So it's going to rain down explosives all over the place. So if he shoots 6 of those into Washington, D.C., probably 5 or 6 will get in. And you're going to have 36 warheads from each one. Pretty bad. And I want you to know that, in my opinion, this is real, and this is why Trump is dilly-dallying and trying to figure out what to do. There's no signs of Iran moving warships, or North Korea or Russia, or aircraft or planes or missile launching ships or anything to intimidate and scare America from doing this. There's nothing of the sort. Why? Because Putin's got Trump in checkmate now. So what's Trump doing? He's trying to see if he can get Ukraine to submit to Russia. That gets him out of the jackpot. He throws Zelensky under the bus. And Zelensky may not be going for it. Zelensky could be going to Europe and saying, hey, do you really want me to throw the towel in? Because that's going to drive Russia on. And Putin, and this Trump guy doesn't care. He doesn't live in Europe. And it's going to bolster Russia, and Russia's going to be worse than they ever were before. And that's true. And they might say, don't worry, we'll give you the weapons. And then Zelensky nicely goes back to Trump and says, you know, I really can't do what you're asking me because I can't give up the land. So I'm sorry, Donald, if you want to negotiate this thing so I keep my own land and Putin doesn't have a victory that way, I'll negotiate, but not this way. And now what does Donald do? Well, this is where he's at now. He keeps his warships there, he keeps his planes, his troops there, and he's trying to figure out what to do. The little old lady in the shoe doesn't know what to do. Yes, I said lady. He doesn't know, or it doesn't know what to do. He's at a loss. This is not an over cerebral individual. This is a schmuck, a Satan bot, one of Satan's chosen people on a high level, but a complete jerk. He doesn't know what to do. Everything he tries to do falls apart. He's dumb. Come on, wake up. He's dumb. Wake up. Wake up. Gold over $4,000 an ounce. Boy, a lot of people got a lot of credibility in this jerk. He talks the talk like Netanyahu. They're very much the same and does nothing. Except Netanyahu's not afraid to fight. Netanyahu likes wars. Trump's scared to death of him. So things are very dangerous for America right now, and the people don't understand it. Look, Trump's not going to sit there and tell the people, hey, we have credible information that, Maduro in Venezuela has Orishnik missiles, and he's going to use them against us. Now, this guy is telling us that, what do you call it, Maduro, that he got 5,000 shoulder-fired anti-aircraft missiles. Those are the ones, I think they call them Stingers. Russian makes them, or we got them from Iran or somebody. You hold them up against your shoulder, you got a sight, boom. They got all different kinds. The ones they probably have they could be optical, or they're most likely wire guided. Wire guided means that the guy that fires it keeps a sight on the plane. As the plane moves, he follows it with the sight, and the missile follows the plane that way, and then it hits. So if the plane could get out of the visual sight of the launcher before the missile hits, they're in good shape. But generally they can't. These missiles are going to haul, and by the time the plane realizes they've got a missile lock and there's something coming at them, if it's an F-22 or something like that, maybe it could get out of range, but normally no. Again, it's stealth jet and stealth mode. It's not going to work very well against it at all. It wouldn't do good. Okay. Now, could you use those against ships? Yeah, but he's also been given very good anti-ship missiles. So Putin and maybe Iran and China want Maduro to hurt Trump. They would probably like to see these missiles be applied against American forces to see what they do, how good they are. They'd have observers there watching, filming, getting radar readouts, and try to figure out what kind of improvements need to be made, if any. They'd love to have that info. And it's rather safe for them. Okay, so I'm not beating the fear drum, and I can't give you 100% that this is what's going on, but it sure looks like it to me. It explains a lot of things. Now, the next thing we should do is take a look at Revelation 18 and see if we could get a fit there. Before we start, I want to tell you that I did some research about shipping ports that could handle container ships and stuff like that in DC. There is nothing. Near DC, yes. Baltimore, 40 miles away. So if there was an attack on ships and things in Baltimore, would in Washington, D.C., rather, there was an attack on D.C., and there were ships' crews on the boats in Baltimore. Would they be able to see Washington, D.C. burning? Absolutely. I have no doubt they would. I'm pretty sure they would. Would they be able to hear it? Yeah, I think so. I hear things more than 40 miles away going off in Syria. And when Israel was getting attacked, I heard stuff pretty far away too. So yeah, you're going to hear it. And you feel it. It shakes the windows, the doors, and you can feel it in your ears, the pressure. So yeah. Okay. And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. Now, I don't want to say that this is the glory of God of Israel going into the temple in Ezekiel 43, but it does have a pretty decent time match, and it could very well be, because he lights up the earth with his glory. And the earth was lightened with his glory, okay? Arise, shine, your light has come, the glory of the Lord has risen upon thee. And he cried mightily remember, when Daughter of Babylon goes, the people get out. Okay, so I'm trying to give you timing, but by no means, any way, shape, or form am I going to be able to give you the day or the hour. I'm probably not going to be able to give you the week, or even the month for sure, So, okay, 2. Nobody's going to give you the day or the hour. You're not going to get it. And it's going to be a surprise to probably everybody or almost everybody. Verse 2. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean, hateful bird. The birds are demons. They fly around like a bird, right? Okay. So, let's take a look at that verse in the Hebrew. I wonder what the word for bird is over there. So that shouldn't be terribly difficult to look up. Okay. I got to get the Hebrew New Testament, Salkinson. I had it and it went away. I'm sick of these iPads, sick of Apple products. Okay. I think it's this one. Verse 2, just as I thought. It doesn't say bird, it says oaf. The word for oaf, I got this one right. The Lord must have told me, because this is what I thought. I thought it was the word oaf, and I'll explain what oaf means in a second. Let me get back to King James. Okay. Oaf is the word we use for chicken, but it's also the word that means a flyer. Okay? A flyer, F-L-I-E-R, a flyer. And hateful flyer is the word. Unclean and hateful flyer. Those are your demons. Okay, so saying that America is just loaded with demons and everything like that, and it's fallen. Okay, And it doesn't mean now the word for fallen, we should look that up. Um, it says Babel, great fallen. Let's check the word for fallen. And it uses the same word twice. Is fallen, is fallen. All right, it's Strong's number 4098. And let's see how Strong's puts it into English, should be more accurate. Formal, blah, 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 blah. Fail, it could mean fail, fallen. Basically fallen. So it's finished. It's fallen could mean it's failed, or, you know. Okay, verse 3. For all heathens, nations, or heathens, have drunk of the wine of her wrath, of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. That's the Columbia picture, motion picture icon, the Statue of Liberty thing. A demonic idol committed fornication with her, and the merchant of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Okay. The merchants of the earth, the business people, the Bezos and Musk and Trump and them. Okay. Verse 4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins, that you receive not of her plagues. So he's talking to the believers. I heard another voice from heaven. It doesn't say who the voice is, but you don't normally hear a voice from heaven coming forth out of an angel. So this would probably be Jehovah or Yeshua. I would probably think Jehovah strongly. This is the call for the next great Exodus. So the glory of God has already come to the temple, and you could see everything coming together. Now the church world sadly doesn't know what I'm talking about, but you do. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her lawlessness. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works, in the cup which she hath filled, fill to her double. So she's getting a double shot of like the cup of the wrath of the Lord, okay? But maybe different, not exactly that, but you're getting the general idea. How much she has glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her, for she saith in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. This is very much like Isaiah 47. A widow, not married to the land, so she doesn't see her losing her land. This is a demon that probably was running the original Babylon that's located now, what we call Iraq. This is probably the same demon running the show in America. This demon got the old Babel to be very, very big and rich and glorified, and It's what you got in America. Now, the Satan bots, the elite, are very, very rich, richer than they've ever been in America, as far as I could tell, much richer. But you guys are getting poorer. Duh. That's what Satan bots do. They're only evil from morning to night. They just do evil. How much she has glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her, for she saith in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow and shall see no sorrow. Well, Trump behaves like, it's never going to end, right? God's never going to take control of the earth. That's how he behaves. Poor slob. The evil person, this guy. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine. It comes in one day. That is interesting. Death, mourning, and famine. Well, death and mourning go hand in hand. Famine, that's interesting. And she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord God who judgeth her. Burned with fire in a day. For strong is the Lord God who judgeth her. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her, they do trade with America, shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. They're going to be bummed out. They lost their meal ticket. Standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, they're standing afar off. Let's check afar and off. Far off. Okay, that's the word. Okay, so they're not in Washington, D.C. Afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, alas, that great city. So this is a city, not the country. But the daughter of Babylon has cities, plural. It has many waters. Okay, it has a multitude of people. It is America. The great city is Washington, D.C., Washington District of Columbia, the whore, the image of Columbia, the Statue of Liberty, the Columbia motion picture icon. It's the same disgusting abomination. It's a woman without breasts, if you want to call it a woman or whatever you want to call it, some abomination. Alas, alas, that great city, Babel, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. Now, a handful of Orishnik missiles on Washington, D.C. would do that, 36 warheads a missile. It would start a lot of fires, the place would be burning. There'd be a lot of death. If they did it at night, there'd be minimal death, but if it happened during the daylight hours, during the week, it'd be a lot of death, people working there. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. They're selling stuff into America. They sell all expensive stuff into America, clothing, jewelry, cars, all kinds of stuff, right? the merchandise food, the merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and of pearls and fine linen. They buy sheets that cost enough for you to eat a month, you know, fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and all thine wood. Do you know these people, they have a hard floor? Instead of putting linoleum or tile down, they put tiles down made out of padded leather. And all thine wood and all manner of vessels of ivory and all manner of vessels of most precious wood and of marble. So it's talking about all manner of vessels, ships. Oh, no, no, no. These are vessels and not ships. They're, um, containers of various things. And cinnamon and odors, perfume, incense, and ointments, skin lotions, wrinkle creams, for $300, and frankincense and wine, expensive wine, and oil, and fine flour and wheat, and beasts. Well, they bring all sorts of stuff in, you know, uh, different kinds of pets, and all kinds of horses, cattle, all this stuff, and sheep, horses, chariots, cars, I guess, and slaves and souls of men. Slaves. What did Epstein do? How many more Epsteins are they running around? And the fruits that thy soul lusted after are departed from thee. And you get fruit all year round, fresh fruits, and all things which were dainty and goodly are departed from thee, and thou shalt find them no more at all. The merchants of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off. They're not in Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. has no real merchant marine commercial ship port. Baltimore does. 40 miles away, Baltimore can take all the container ships, the ro-ro ships, all the different ships. They can handle it there, no problem. So the merchants made rich, which were made rich by her, shall stand afar off. It says shall stand. Okay, but let me explain. They messed the translation up. It's a poop perfect. The Strong's number is 2476. It doesn't say shall stand. It just says stand. Okay? They put the shall in because they like it. It's not in the text. Made rich by her, stand afar off. For the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, and saying, alas, alas. that great city, there it is again. It's a city we're talking about here. That's Washington, D.C. You know, it's not part of the 50 states. It's its own thing. It's a city, District of Columbia. And that District of Columbia, that horror thing runs, the one that rides on the beast and all that, runs not only America, but the world. Look at Trump. That was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. Well, that's giving you the, allegorical description of it, okay? For in 1 hour, great riches is come to naught, and every ship master and all the company in ships and sailors ships and sailors, as many as trade by sea, stood afar off. Again, they're afar off, okay? So don't get put off by Washington, D.C. not having any real port. They could take in small boats, maybe a Coast Guard cutter or something like that, maybe 100-foot yacht or something like that. I don't know. And cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what city is like unto, it moved on me, darn it, hold on. The smoke of her burning, right? So an Orishnik missile, 36 warheads, and you got 5 of them, let's say, you got 160 warheads hitting Washington, D.C. These are not big warheads. They're enough to cause damage, but they're going to cause a lot of fires, don't you think? And now I'm in verse 18. So I'm in Revelation 18:18. And cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what city is like unto this great city? It's a city. And it's a great city, right? And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping. That's mourning. It's the Middle East, the Hebrew form of mourning, okay? Back then, and wailing, saying, alas, alas, that great city. It keeps telling us it's a city wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness. For in 1 hour is she made desolate. That's destroying DC. Maybe it's 10 Orishniks or 15. I don't know. Maybe it's 5 Orishniks and 20 caliber missiles. I don't know. Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and you holy apostles and prophets, for God will avenge you on her. So it hasn't completely happened yet. It's just starting. Rejoice over her, heaven, and you holy apostles and prophets Well, the regular people, well, a lot of them aren't going to rejoice because they think it's a good country. They don't know. But the people in heaven, well, the angels in heaven are going to rejoice, as will the apostles and prophets, because they know what's going on. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea. Now, this is very reminiscent of Jeremiah 50:51, pretty dead on, actually. Cast it into the sea, very similar, let's leave it at that, similar, saying, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. And the voice of harpers and musicians, and of pipers, and of trumpeters, um, shall be heard no more at all in thee, and no craftsman of whatsoever craft he be shall be found any more in thee. Destroyed. And the sound of a millstone shall be heard no more at all in thee. They're not even making food there anymore. So DC's had it. And the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee. Nobody's living there anymore. And the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee. For thy merchants were the great men of the earth, for by thy sorceries were all heathen deceived. Oh, they run on witchcraft. I keep telling you that for years. All the merchants, the successful ones, not the believers. And in her was found the blood of prophets and saints and all that was slain upon the earth. That's the whore. Okay. So is this absolutely what's going to happen? No. Does it seem to me that this is something that likely is it? Yeah. Because last night the Lord showed me something about Elijah working with the Levites that I'm going to show you in a minute. And I'm going to take a break very quick and I'll be right back. Are you here? So the challenge here is when. Now, this is not for people that don't know. You haven't been in here watching and listening to me for a while. You don't know what's going on. And I'm sorry, but if I try to go back and start explaining everything from the beginning, I'd be here for 8 hours. Or more. So, okay. Malachi 3. Not many people in here. I don't want to hear it. Malachi 3:1. Behold, I will send my Malach. That's messenger. That's Malachi is Malach. It's a play on words. And he shall prepare the way before me. Yeshua is the Word made flesh. It's him speaking. And John the Baptist had the spirit of Elijah, but he never completed everything. It was not time to restore the kingdom at that time, but it is now. So it's the real Elijah, Elijah, so to speak. He shall prepare the way before me, and Adonai, whom you seek, shall suddenly come to his temple. This is the glory of God of Israel, Michael. You could see that actually happening in Ezekiel 43. And then it goes back to Elijah, even the Malach, the messenger of the covenant, whom you delight in, behold, he shall come, saith the Lord of hosts. They all say Elijah's going to come and teach us the scriptures, and yeah, he will. He'll probably start off with who the Messiah is pretty early on. And they make a place setting for him at Passover. They put out plates and silverware and pour him a glass of wine, and if it's safe, they leave the door to the house open. They even make special chairs with his name on it. But who may abide the day of his coming? And who shall stand when he appeareth? Now, Elijah's been in Israel for quite a while. All of them, Apostle John, Enoch, no, they're all here. They all come from Israel. Wow. things drive me crazy. All right, Malachi 3. Verse 2. But who may abide the day of his coming, and who shall stand when he appeareth? For he is like a refiner's fire, and full of soap, and he shall sit as a refiner and purifier of silver, and he shall purify the sons of Levi. So basically, what's in Israel now is Levites and Judah. Okay. Maybe a little Benjamin and stuff, but it's predominantly Judah and Levi. Purify them as gold and silver, that they may offer unto Jehovah an offering in righteousness. Then shall the offering of Judah and Jerusalem, that's what we have now, Judah and Jerusalem, be pleasant unto Jehovah, as in the days of old, as in the former years. Now, that brings the blessings of the law on Israel. Deuteronomy 28. And I will come near to you to judgment, and will be a swift witness against the sorcerers, against the adulterers, against the false swearers, and against them that oppress the hireling in his wages, the widow, the fatherless, and that turn aside the stranger from his right, and fear not me, saith Jehovah of armies. Now, when is this going to happen? Is this going to happen at the redemption, after the redemption? If Elijah is purifying, purging the Levites, getting the dross out of them, the tin out of them, the bad stuff out of them, right? This is before redemption. What happens in redemption? They shall all know me from the least to the greatest. Jeremiah 31. I will put my law in their heart. I will give them a heart of flesh. Put the law in their inward parts. In another place it says, all right? So I don't think he would have to be purging them. God already poured his spirit out on them and gave them everlasting life when he appeared in the sky. Yeshua appears. That's it. There wouldn't be a need for Elijah to be purifying them. Do you understand? Does that mean you should be looking for Elijah like every day? Pretty much. For him to work openly, that is. Yeah. Is the temple down from heaven? Not New Jerusalem, the next temple, when Elijah's working with them? Likely, he could be working with the tabernacle, because Ezekiel 37, the last 3 verses, tells us we'll have the tabernacle again. But I think that's for the wilderness. Of course, it's portable. I think the temple does come down. And the temple precedes the glory of God of Israel because he comes suddenly into his temple. I believe, and I don't have a scripture that directly says this, that when Elijah works with the Levites and the offerings are acceptable unto the Lord. Now you got to understand there's Levites, there's Kohanim, right? The Kohanim are the priests and the Levites are the Levites. Okay. So when they're doing everything right, the blessings of the law, and there's the Zadokites, the Zadok, which are part of the Kohanim or Zadoks, not all of them. And they're going to have different positions and jobs. And we also have an anointed prince, and you'll read about him in Ezekiel 45, I'm rather sure. Well, you'll read about him in Ezekiel 45. So we got all this going on, right? And this is very likely going to cause the siege. They're going to freak out. And at the same time, when Washington, D.C. gets hit, okay, America has not yet been looted because God rewards the attackers. He sends them to destroy America. You got to get that down. So when you're going against this, you're going against Jehovah. Okay, but they loot the whole country. How long does that take? An hour? No, I'd say you got some time there. And they kill many, many people. And, there's a lot of problems, a lot of fires, And the people have to gather and get out of there, the believers and the Israelites. So, D.C. is lighting the fuse, you might say, that begins it. Because the whole country will go into turmoil when that happens. What's the dollar going to be worth? Okay? It would be cheaper for people to make cooking fires out of paper money than, it's going to be. God's going to make a mockery out of these people that save money, the covetous, and all they want to do is cling to their money, and their money is going to be worthless. All these preachers and millionaires running around making money, boy, they're going to have nothing but shame to face. The church will fall apart. It's a house built on sand. It's divided amongst itself. You can't stand it, it'll fall apart. And the people are going to wander around for a brief period of time. They're not going to know what the heck happened, what to do. They're going to try to put the pieces together. Now, I don't think they're going to get very far. I think they'll be cut off. The ones that are really with the Lord, no, of course not. But the ones whose claim, is basically church membership and that kind of thing, forget about it. They ain't going to make it. Is that going to open up the immigration? Yeah. Is Elijah going to work himself? Well, when we read in the scriptures, we don't read about anybody else, but I don't think he'll be working by himself because he needs to have a place to bring them where they could go. He can't handle everything. So there'll be some of you all over here. I believe, that's what I keep telling you, that's what I think. I've never been corrected by the Lord that I could recall, so I think that's the case. I mean, we could sit here on what happens to Netanyahu and the Knesset, and we could go all the details, but they're not going to like Elijah, but what can they do about him? They can't kill him. He's not killable. What are they going to do? If he's not killable, he's not incarceratable. You can't lock him up. Okay. What are they going to do? I don't care what they do. They're not going to. It's not going to work. And Enoch will be there, the other witness, too. They're going to be two. The anointed prince will be there, too, I expect, taking the place of the high priest, because he's from the line of Judah, and it transfers to the line of Judah. David shall never lack a man to sit on the throne. So it's going to be quite a thing. Quite a thing. And this is likely going to be before redemption, as I just explained to you. The world doesn't know what it's in for. There's going to be signs and wonders galore. Don't worry about that. The dead rising and everything else on down the line. And, the walking on water, the elevating off the earth, everything will be there. You'll get it all. You'll see it all. You'll participate in it all the signs and wonders. You'll have all that. And the world's going to change. But they're going to try to get rid of Israel. That's why in the siege, they're in trembling. They're so scared when they're attacking us. With good reason, because Elijah and Enoch burn them up. So, things are going to pivot for the believers. If they're not Israelite and they're real believers for them, because they really are Israelite. If they're not of Israelite birth lineage, but they're real believers, they're Israelites. And all Israel shall be saved. So it's all going to flip over. Now, what about the wars that look like they're starting up? Well, we killed the guy that runs the Hezbollah military, the number 2 guy in the country, but I believe he's the number 1 guy in the military. We killed him yesterday. So the Hezbollah is trying to get together with the government of Lebanon, join forces, and deal with Israel. I told you this would be happening. That the army of Lebanon will turn against us eventually. The scripture is Lebanon, open your doors, let the cedars of Lebanon burn. They're not going to get anywhere. Hamas, they said yesterday to the American negotiators that Israel has broken the ceasefire because apparently they're saying we broke it all over the place, but they're neglecting to mention the fact that they didn't disarm, okay, and they have no intention of giving up being the government of Gaza. So we broke the ceasefire. You see the attitude of these people, okay, and the people in the world are dumb. They believe them. So we're back to genocidal maniacs who broke the ceasefire. So they're trying to, well, they're said that the ceasefire is over and they're going back to operations against Israel. Boom, boom. I don't think they got missiles. They might be able to scratch a couple up or something, but there's not much they can do. They're not going to get out of Gaza with our army there. They're not getting out. They could engage the soldiers in suicidal combat if they want to, but what are they going to do? The soldiers are in tanks. You can hear ping, ping, ping when they shoot the tank. I don't know what's going to happen. But I don't think they're going to fare well at all. It's recompenses. It's payback against the nations over Zion. So they're going to get hurt. So will Lebanon get hurt. Okay, now will the Houthis join in the festivities? I expect any day. Sure, because they're going to believe Hamas that said, well, Israel broke the ceasefire, so they're going to say, well, yeah, okay, now it's time to attack Israel again, get them back in the ceasefire. And that's what they'll do. So they'll shoot missiles and drones at us every day. We'll bomb them every now and then. Trump will be pulling his hair out because he got nowhere with his ceasefire. And mind you, the thing with Ukraine and Russia is going to blow up as well. It's not going to work. Nothing Trump's going to do is going to work because he's evil and rotten, and he defies God and laughs at God, and he thinks that his role is to defeat Jehovah, and he's gone. He's a goner, an abomination and a goner. So, how does this fit in with Elijah? I don't know. I can tell you a few things. Number one, they don't like to missile attack Jerusalem because they can hit the Dome of the Rock. And they wouldn't like that. But if there's a temple there, they might try to hit the temple. That doesn't mean they would hit the temple. Now, I don't think Hamas got what to work with, okay, in terms of missiles and drones. I really don't think they have anything. Hezbollah doesn't have much. They probably have a little. But as soon as they start using it, there's going to be bombing attacks in Lebanon. Like every place we think is storing missiles, missile launchers, anything like that's going to get bombed. Netanyahu will have, 4 or 8 jets in the air all the time attacking. They take off from an Israeli base, they fly into Lebanon, they drop bombs on their target package, they turn around, they go back to the base, they land. The pilot gets out, calls the family, has some coffee, goes to the bathroom, washes the face, goes back in a while, after refueling, checking everything, and rearming the plane, and does it again. 3 times a day. If they're actively trying to bomb us, Netanyahu will have planes nonstop attacking everything we could find on them. And every time we pick something up that they're launching, the planes will be overhead. They'll be there in probably under a minute to blow the launcher up. See, it doesn't matter if you got 87,000 missiles. It's how many launches do you have? If you got 87,000 missiles and 1,800 launches, oh boy, that's a major problem. If you got 87,000 missiles and 29 launches, every time you do a launch, you're going to lose the launcher. We're overhead all the time. When they launch, we get it on radar. We get the coordinates. We give it to the plane. The plane hits the afterburners at great speed, gets right over there in seconds, really, and then bombs it. And that's the end of the missile launcher. It's going to take them time to get out of the area with the thing if it's portable. That's it. And we're probably going to go in on the ground with armor. And we're going to probably occupy up to the Litani River and go on excursions past the Litani River further north into Lebanon to knock out whatever we find that we want to knock out. If their military is going to work with Hezbollah and side with them, we're going to knock out the Lebanese military, period. And can they do much against Israel. No, no. They got ancient planes. Um, they'll get taken down if they try to fly into Israel. It'd be suicide. I haven't seen the government of Lebanon actually say, okay, Hezbollah and Lebanon are one. But Trump's concerned about them. They canceled a trip from some guy in the military in Lebanon was going to go to America and meet in Washington with the four-star generals and stuff, and that never happened. They canceled the guy out because he's playing games with America. So Trump gave him till the end of the month. What's today, like 24th or something like that? So November 3rd, you got less than a week. They're going to do nothing. They're just going to buy time. They're going to try to tell Trump, oh, we need more time. I don't know what Trump's going to do about it. Netanyahu got himself out of Trump's Palestinian state in 5 years because now we're at war with Hezbollah, and he's going to finish it off. And I'm pretty sure he told Ben Gvir and Bezalel Smotrich, the right-wing leaders, that this is what he's doing, and he's doing it. It's going to be involved with destroying more tunnels. That's key, really. And bombing a lot more real estate. And there's going to be more surrenders. There has been a bunch of surrenders, and Hamas is trying to ignore that. But it did happen. And there's going to be more. And they're trying to cover that up in the news. But you'll have more and more of it. And if they want to fight to the death, that's what's going to happen. The Houthis are going to try launching at us again, and then Netanyahu will send some planes down there to bomb them. And they'll start attacking ships in the Red Sea. And Trump's afraid to do anything about that. And the Europeans are afraid to do anything about that. So the only thing that's going to happen is the ships are going to have to not use the Red Sea and the water space to the south of Yemen because they're afraid. So people aren't going to believe America's the daughter of Babylon. They're going to say, oh, we got all these churches. How could we be? How could we be that? And all this stuff. Well, yeah, that's what they're going to say. And remember, it's going to be like the days of Sodom and like the days of Noah. And they didn't believe anything was going to come on them until it came on them, and then it was too late. And that's what that means. They ain't going to wake up. Don't expect much of it to happen in terms of waking up. Don't expect a lot. I'm sure there'll be some. But were there any in Sodom? No. Other than Lot's family? No. Were there any with Noah other than Noah's family? No. Maybe they won't wake up. Don't think this is going to go on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever, and we're just going to be sitting here. That's like what the Satan bots believe. Don't believe that. It won't. God's not going to leave you here forever and ever. He's not going to keep it like this. Israel's been punished pretty sufficiently. They're still doing evil and wicked in Israel. It's not even not even close. Some people would think that maybe New York City is the daughter of Babylon, but no, it's this Columbia thing, Statue of Liberty, that same creatures on the roof of the Capitol building. New York City doesn't really have that. Well, they got Statue of Liberty, but no, it's called New York City, and the UN is there, but no, it's not really the seat of the daughter of Babylon. The seat's Washington D.C. So I think this explains why Trump is dragging his feet on attacking Ukraine, because he doesn't know what to do. Like the little old woman that lived in a shoe didn't know what to do. He doesn't know what to do. He's probably trying to get a plan from the military about how to make sure they can deal with this risk of these medium range missiles, and I don't believe they can. See, the way Hezbollah's thinking in Lebanon, Hezbollah, after we killed their leader, is this. If they do nothing, Israel's going to keep bombing them and killing them, and they're going to get, run off the face of the earth. So they believe they have to do something to act as a deterrent to Israel. And the best way for them to deal with this is to hook up with the Lebanese army, not let Israel get the Lebanese army to turn against Hezbollah. And, Trump wants the army to turn against Hezbollah. So Trump's in the jackpot here, too. The Lebanese government, per se, is not very happy about Israel attacking up there, because the attack that we got this guy at yesterday was in a building in Beirut, the capital, and we shot 2 missiles into the building. They went in through the wall of the building. One did not detonate and the other did. And they don't like that. People in Lebanon are scared, The intelligence information is revealing that Hezbollah has succeeded in disrupting the Lebanese army monitoring of its disarmament, and that the organization is rebuilding its military arsenal, especially its fleet of cheap and highly efficient drones. And we understand Turkey's helping them transport the stuff in there. Washington's patience has officially run out, and there is agreement that there is no way to block a new military campaign. Hezbollah is trying to unite with the Lebanese government against Israel. So Trump is being made a monkey of over there, and he's trying to play the let's give peace a chance game with Lebanon, and it's not working out for Trump. Nothing works out for Trump. America's in a snare, and it won't work. That's Jeremiah 50, verse 24. America's in a snare. They're telling us that Israel is planning to strike Lebanon with a force several times greater than anything Lebanon has experienced until this happens. So it's going to get hit very, very hard. See, they're getting missiles, rebuilding missiles, getting missiles together, getting missile teams together, launchers, and they're going to start firing, dozens of missiles every day into Israel if they can. So Israel's been attacking them every day for many months. And we've probably got a list of target packages as long as your leg. And we're going to go take those target packages out and take out Hezbollah as well. And when we do that, it may only take a few days, and that's it. The risk will be mitigated, very small. So there won't be any missiles threatening the temple. That's what I'm saying. And we're already in that stage with Hamas. There's no missiles threatening the temple. Now, when we get to Hezbollah, they might shoot at Jerusalem if God puts the temple there. They may start shooting at Jerusalem with drones and missiles. And we'll have to see how that ends. See, if Elijah shows up, signs and wonders and all, right, with Enoch, and they start talking to the Israeli people, do you think that Israel's going to be perhaps 25 times more aggressive than they are now? Or something like that? Well, when they read the scriptures and Jehovah says, I am with you, God, I'm Jehovah, I'm with you. He's with us, but Enoch and Elijah are here as his messengers, and a temple. Oh, that's going to be different. Yeah. Are the nations going to win? No. No, 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 no. Are the false religions going to win? No, 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 no. Don't think God's going to leave you here like this forever. He ain't. He won't do that. What for? Okay? He's not going to do that. Okay? It's going to be a surprise when it hits. And I'm trying to find angles that it might, this might be it, right? It could be, real likely. Or maybe it's Jehovah throwing fire and brimstone down in Washington, D.C. I don't know yet. We don't know. You don't know. We can't tell. It could be one way or the other. I don't know. But this is a possible. Okay? Elijah trained the Levites before redemption, the appearing of Yeshua in the clouds. When we see him, we'll be like him. We get changed. We have everlasting life. I believe he's going to be working before the appearing of Yeshua in the clouds with redemption. I believe that. Because of the purging out of the dross and purifying like this gold and the silver with the Levites. And why would they need to be doing that if it was after redemption? You see my point? So that's what the Lord showed me, and I think that's good information, real good. So if Israel gives Hezbollah a few good blasts, um, the missile threat from Hezbollah is going to be gone. There's not much threat of missiles from Hamas. So we got to worry about what happens with the other countries, and I don't know yet. So we'll have to see. There's this cult called Lev Tabor or Tahor. They dress like the black coats, but they're not. There's some other cult, and um, the country of Colombia said 17 minors were rescued from this cult down in Colombia, I suppose. Um, Five of those rescued were subjects of Interpol missing. So those people got liberated out of that cult. That cult's had a lot of trouble with abductions, child abuse, kidnapping. It's really a wacko operation. Um, Now this is rather distressing news that I'm going to give you, but it's Netanyahu does this. Netanyahu's rejoicing in this. Um, it's talking about we're talking about people leaving Israel. The war started October 7th, and there probably were people in October 7th, 2023. There probably were people leaving in 2023 to get out of the war. It happens in Israel. Okay, now we go to 2024, and the government is releasing figures that 80,000 people left Israel, and it's going to be that or more in 2025. The year's not over, so I would say that if you added up who left in 2023, which they're leaving out, but it had to be some, okay, because you had basically the whole month of October, November, and December. You had people leaving, and then you had 80,000 in 2024 that the government is fessing up to, and you're probably going to have 100 or more thousand in 2025, maybe much more. So it's probably 200 to 250,000 Israelites that actually left Israel. And that's Netanyahu's doing. And that's why Satan will protect them and likes them to some extent anyway. Um, 30% of the Arabs and 26% of the Jews are thinking of emigrating out of Israel. Um, they're saying it's more profound in the secular Jews than it is with the religious Jews. A volcano erupted in northeastern Ethiopia. It sent a large ash plume towards Yemen. How about that, Yemen, and also Oman? According to officials and experts, no eruptions have been recorded at the volcano in 10,000 years. Well, yeah, we're only about 6,000 years old, so I mean, yeah. Fire threatens Iran's ancient forest, a World Heritage Site. Iran has been battling its worst drought in more than so 80,000 did leave Israel in 2024, and they suspect more in 2025, but there's no figures being released at this point. Probably in January, it'll probably get out there somehow. The foreign countries that have embassies and consulates, so forth, in Venezuela have started evacuating, so they're expecting something. Israeli security officials say Tehran has already restored most of its missiles arsenal, recovering from the June 12-day war, and is on track to reach pre-Operation Rising Lion levels within months. So 2,000 surface-to-surface missiles are expected soon. Others seem to think they already have that. Deep underground storage, deep underground storage facilities for various things, missile launches, missiles, blah, 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 did survive Israel strikes. Iran is shifting strategy, more volume, less accuracy. They just want to flood the missile defense systems. Well, we got a little bit of encouraging news about gun control, which Netanyahu fights against tooth and nail, that piece of garbage. There was, we got up to, I'll give you the number, 222,222. So it's all twos, 222,000 gun licenses, which is about double what it was before October 7th. Now, there were probably another 200,000 people that wanted to get them that didn't get them. Because some of them might still be in process because this garbage bucket drags it out and so forth. But in any event, it should be about 500,000. And it's not. But at least it's increasing. And he hates it. Netanyahu hates it. And there's been many, many, many instances over the last, 2 years or so of civilians shooting terrorists. So it's working. But if it was twice as good, it would be even better. Ben Gavir is saying the attitude of the people has changed. More and more the people want to arm. They don't want to be passive anymore. They're thinking they have a personal responsibility to defend the homeland. And defense begins at home, but it's still not enough. At about 500,000, I think it would be sufficient. There would be guns all over the place. So it's twice as good as it was, but it's not there yet. And it's Netanyahu doing it. It's him jamming it up. He's the one doing it. This is interesting. This is about Twitter. What people researched about Twitter and people posting. I'll read it to you. I got this from some other poster. Twitter now allows you to see where each and every user on Twitter is reporting from, their geolocation. Now, they could be using a proxy and confuse you. So they could be in Turkey and have a proxy from Canada, and you'll think they're in Canada. So bear that in mind, okay? But most people probably don't bother with that. People who present themselves as Israelis and speak in the name of Israel, for better or for worse, are located in India, Nigeria, Pakistan, and more. Users who are raising money as Gazans live in Europe and Africa. So they're telling them, oh, we're Gazans, help us with money, right? And the other Muslims help. They're ripping them off. Iranian accounts are located in Bangladesh. And Jackson Hinkle, the most popular anti Semite account on the network is X, the network X, is actually managed from Burkina Faso. Bots for hire. These could be bots located in other countries using AI and posting. Isn't that funny? So there's a fire in the ancient forest of Iran, which is a World Heritage Site, and it's threatening to burn the whole forest down because they got a drought and things are very dry there. And Iran has got a lot of problems, and they're worried about missiles, not fires, not water. Very foolish people. So a lot of these people are hiring bots with AI in other countries to do posts in the the area or the genre they want to post in, anti-Israel, pro-Israel, whatever. I don't know. Now this is very interesting. Talk about Netanyahu subverting Trump or whatever's going on there. Brother killing brother. 5 militias are currently operating against Hamas in the Gaza Strip. The Yash Abu Shabab militia, the first and largest, is located in Rafah, in the south of the Strip. The next one is the Hossam al-Astal militia, operates in the Khan Yunis area. The next one is the Ashaf al-Mansi militia in the north. The Rami Kalas militia in the eastern area, and the Shukul Abu Natsira militia. All of them are based in operational bases within the yellow area under IDF control. So they're protected by the IDF. And from there, they go out on missions to operate beyond the yellow line and kill Hamas. Last June, after the existence of the Yas Abu Shabat militia was revealed, Israel. Anyway, that's just a comment from somebody. So this model with the 1 is now grown to 5, and they're killing Hamas. Now, this is another fascinating story. Did the Houthis disrupt the internet in the Middle East? Undersea cables were cut in the Red Sea. Microsoft and NetBlocks report disruptions in several countries following cables cut off the coast of Yemen in the past. The Houthis opponents warned that they would damage cables and network access, but Sana'a, that's the capital of Yemen, has denied it. The terror group has threatened to take revenge on Israel for elimination of the top brass and stuff like that. So they kind of do the work, maintain themselves. You know? And then Israel attacked central Syria, part of ongoing escalation of Israel Watch, Israel has neither confirmed nor denied the attack. Syria's foreign ministry blamed the attack on the IDF and condemned it, saying that it was a violation of Syrian sovereignty and Israel's and a threat to regional security. Okay, well, that's pretty much what's cooking in our news. Let me check the live stream here, see what we got going on. See if I could see any questions popping up here. It's very difficult to read all this. Comet like David. They come. Swords and spears. Greta Thunberg. Oh, that one. Yeah, they could. Yeah, she'll put out the fires. Yeah, sure. Yeah, Greta will do a lot, I'm sure. All right. Spiritual warfare time. I made a note what I wanted to do today about that, and I'll pull that up. Okay. All right, here we go. I'm going to do some spiritual warfare, and you believers can agree with it if you want. B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach, my heavenly Father Jehovah, I bind all the unclean spirits from remaining inside a person whenever that person does any witchcraft, sorcery, curses, hexes, vexes, spells, enchantments, or evil works in the flesh against any true believer and their household and their animals and pets and anything else they sent their hand to, including their businesses, their jobs, their money, um, and so forth. Anytime there's an evil work that any of these people that serve the unclean spirits do or have a hand in or a part in, the unclean spirits must immediately depart from that person, and as well may never return unto that person again ever, and as well no unclean spirit can go into that person again, nor communicate with him, nor guide him, lead him, direct him, give him advice, help, or assistance, or comfort, using people or any means at their disposal for a period of 1 year continuously after the event. And the event will never come to pass in its fullness, it shall fail. And these commands are set in place with no time expiration on them. B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach. Okay? So that's going to cause a lot of problems in unclean spirit land. All right. And you can agree with that if you like. And you can copy these things that I do, play it back, write them down, and do it yourself. I mean, if you want to go take pokes at world leaders. Far be it from me to stop you. I mean, you know, I'm not out. I'm out to teach you what you do with it. Go ahead and do with it. You're only going to hurt the enemy. You can't hurt the good people with it. So, what do I care? You know, I don't care. All right. I hope I'm being perfectly clear. You can't hurt good people with it. So, what do I care? You know, go for it. You know. Um, don't worry about me. All right. My Heavenly Father, Jehovah, B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach, I pray for all the true believers in their households and their animals and pets and everything they set their hand to. I pray that you would alleviate or lift or loose off them any and all works and problems for them in their lives and their household, and their animals and pets, and their businesses, their jobs, their social relations with family, friends, neighbors, co-workers, etc. Any problems that the unclean spirits have caused or are trying to cause, and the same for those that serve the unclean spirits, any such things, I ask you to loose off the people, and they shall never return. Okay? B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach. And you can agree with that as a believer. And my Heavenly Father, Jehovah, B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach, I further pray that you pour your Holy Spirit out on the true believers, including me and my wife, and we would all have more discernment, and we would walk according to the Word and the law, and we would grow stronger in you, understand the Scriptures more, and pray for the peace of Jerusalem, and we would have more money than we need. We'd have abundance. We'd have more, if we're self-employed, more customers and clients than we need. We'd have an abundance. I pray the gifts of the Spirit would operate through us, and we would preach the word, and signs and wonders would follow. I pray that we have strength, stamina, and endurance, and we would be safe and secure and happy, healthy, and whole, and our animals and pets would be safe and secure and happy, healthy, and whole, and we would have your healing and recuperative power flowing through us. We wouldn't get sick or hurt, and we'd have no accidents, no tickets, no breakdowns, no getting stopped, stuck, or stranded with any car or vehicle or motor transportation. We wouldn't have anything stolen, robbed, frauded, scammed, ripped off. None of these things would happen to us. We'd get all our deliveries. We wouldn't have problems. They would all be alleviated coming from the unclean spirits and people serving the unclean spirits. And I pray all this to you, my Heavenly Father, B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach. And if you're a true believer, you can agree with this. And what else can I tell you? I think today was a heck of a day. Lots of stuff going on. Again, it's quite possible that this Arishnoch missile thing can be Revelation 18, and it's also quite possible that it's not. Just remember that. It does seem to be an interesting fit, so maybe. But then again, maybe not. Okay? Remember that. It doesn't tell us, that there's going to be a war in Venezuela or in the South somewhere, and they're going to get arrows or missiles and fire them at America. We don't know. So it could be. Could be Jehovah does it. It could be a lot of things, A few Areshnik missiles would probably light DC on fire pretty good. And also using caliber missiles and other things. And, I don't know, maybe Russia joins in or Iran, or somebody with boats that launch missiles off the ocean. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen yet. Okay, I'm just saying it looks close. And I'm combining it with everything else. And I'm combining with the fact that the Lord showed me what he did about Elijah, and training the Levites would be appearing pre everlasting life. So I'm putting that together with all this, and I'm coming up with this. Okay, but it's not 100%. It looks like it could be. Let's leave it at that. And I send my shalom to all those who love Yeshua HaMashiach. And I'm out, but we'll keep watching this closely. And that's going to be very revealing, I think. Okay, so I hope you got something from this, and I'm out.